That's not helpful, is it?
I mean, this podcast is not meant to be helpful. That's not what this podcast is for. This podcast is not. Here's how you learn to perform. This is just talking. Hello and welcome to the Process Podcast, the podcast where I basically find an excuse to hang out with my friends whilst also making content, because that's the vibe of it. Today's person we have involved here is the I'm going to say quadruple, quintuple talented, because of all of the things you've got, all the strings to your bow. We've got in Caitlin. Hello, Caitlin.
Hello there.
How are you doing on this fine train strikey day?
Obviously, the train strikes are not the most fun in the world, but otherwise, now I'm here and I've got a croissant in my stomach. I feel a lot better.
There we go. Well, the way we always like to kick off these podcasts, and this is going to be a wonderful one for you to talk on, is I start the podcast first with, how did we first meet each other?
Oh no!
So what do you want to share about...
Oh no!
See, that's a promising sound, but yes. What do you want to share about how we first met? I'll let you decide what we're telling.
Okay, picking and choosing. So we met at a New Year's Eve party. Obviously I got a little bit drunk. I say a little bit. Life kind of gets to you when you're really drunk past a certain time. We had really nice chats. We had really nice drinks. We were very social. We were putting fake tattoos on each other because there was like loads of fake tattoos. Popping candy. I remember the popping candy because I brought it. And I obviously had a bit of a meltdown about 2022. And I was like, 2023 has to be better. So yeah, and then you were like, I think we're going to be friends. I was like, okay.
I mean, for context of this was Caitlin dressed up as Baywatch girl with the largest fake boobs as well and all of that. Yeah. So we have large fake boobed Caitlin having a little bit of a New Year's breakdown, and it's like, no, this is the person I'm going to be talking to afterwards. Like, this is the person, I think there's any kind of a party when it's like a house party over this level of like, who are the friends I'm going to meet here that are now going to become my friends outside if whoever's organised it? And it's like, you're the one. This is the vibe that I need in my life. Yes. Well, has 2023 been better?
Yes, actually, in a lot of areas, yes. So I started doing stand-up comedy, which, you've been there for a lot of the journey. Yeah. And I've done loads of gigs, so cabaret singing gigs, and I've been doing more stage combat and archery. I did my archery reel. Nice. And I got a new agents. There are two women, and they've been great. They've been getting me more auditions every week, and it's just like super exciting. It's been. Oh, I got a niece. There you go. My niece was born.
There you go.
So yeah, it's been good.
Nice. Well, we will go into that in a bit, but we're going to start off properly with our section called Timelines. So for our timeline section, we are going full on past, present and future in your creative fields, and you have many creative fields. Yes. So in your past, how did you get into all the things? Because it's singing, acting, I'm assuming there's going to be dancing in there as well. Yeah. Obviously you've mentioned stage combat and the comedy, so how did you get into just performing in general and all of that? Okay, so I'm youngest of three, and my two sisters are both actors. They started acting, but they both started through ballet. And I saw my first show when I was super, super young. It was Footloose. That's the one I remember. And stage show Footloose. Yeah. Nice. And I was like, oh my God, I was absolutely floored. And I guess I just kind of copied my sisters, and I started ballet, and I was like, oh, I love ballet. Let's do tap, modern jazz. I started tap far too late, but then had to catch up super quick. And then singing lessons, and then my mum took me to an opera teacher, so I learned opera at like 16, and then
drama school, because I wasn't good at school. Like, I wasn't good at sitting behind a desk. And the thing is that you'll get, like, you know, half and half stories about me from, like, everyone, because some teachers were like, oh, she just doesn't get it. She doesn't get it. She's a bit slow. She doesn't get it. But all the students were like, she's such a teacher's pet because she asks all the questions. And it was like, yeah, because I genuinely am quite a bit stupid. Yeah. I understand. So yeah, I was a bit like, oh, I was just not doing well. So yeah, music, dance and drama was like my time to shine. And then, yeah, was like, I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to be a performer. I'm going to do that. That's what I'm going to do. And I was super stubborn. Did that. And then, like, drama school. And then, yeah, like, everything. My ultimate dream has always been to do everything in the field. It always has been. And so, like, and I'm talking like Shakespeare, musical. I want to originate a role, which I've already done. Oh. And I've done Shakespeare, so that's nice. Good. And like, I want to do something that's got fighting in it. And I mean, I did that in Romeo and Juliet, but like, I want to do more. I want to do a music video, which I've done. And then radio, presenting, West End. I want to do movies and TV show. I want to do something in every genre.
Nice.
So like, obviously that's going to be a bit like, because I did a web series and a short film, both comedy. But the short film was sci-fi comedy, so I'm kind of ticking that off both.
Fair. Nice.
But yeah, so my ultimate dream is to do everything. So obviously I was like, oh, to do everything, I have to learn everything. And to learn everything, I just must take all the classes. And so that's what I do. I take all the classes and I literally do everything.
Fair. Well, I guess that moves us into our present of like, where are you with everything now? Because obviously we've been hanging out and doing like seeing you do some of the comedy stuff and also the cabaret and singing stuff. So like, where would you say your creativeness is at the moment? What is the present for you?
So I actually, and I'm going to be 100% honest, because, you know, as creatives, we all have flop days.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one of us. And until you're actually there doing it, when I say this, you're going to be like, oh, well, I'm just going to keep going. I'm not going to have a flop day. You're going to hear this and you're going to go, oh, God, I've had a flop day. Yeah, so I had a flop day, I think it was like last week, because I literally was like, I'm not good at anything and I don't know what I'm doing and I can't. And it was like, that's not true. You're just doing everything. And obviously my sister gave me the whole rhetoric of, you know, what's the master of none? Oh. That saying.
Yeah, jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing. Yeah.
But overall better than master of one.
Yeah.
That one. And I was like, oh yeah. She was like, you spread yourself so thin, but in a good way. And I was like, oh, okay. She was like, you're good at so many things. It's just that because obviously not one thing is taken off, you're now angry at yourself, and that's not kind of how this works. So at the moment, obviously I got very distracted because I did the stand-up comedy competition. I didn't get through. Absolutely fine, because the other comedians were fantastic. I was laughing my ass off, and they had been doing it way longer than me. They were, you know, more rehearsed than me. They were all surprised I was there. They were like, you've been doing this for a month? I was like, I've been doing it for a month. Yay! Like, idiot. And oh God, it was so much fun. Like, I just had an amazing day. And then, yeah, I'm kind of going through, I need to get back into comedy, because actually since then, my niece was born. I had 2 weddings. I've had, you know, several self-tapes and auditions and readings and work, and so everything's got in the way. And especially considering, like, when you do stand-up comedy, you're doing 5-minute sets a go and you're not getting paid for it. So I was doing at least 3 open mic nights a week, and it got to a point where it was getting to around slightly over £100, like almost to slightly over £100, depending on the day I was going, every week. And I was like, I'm not getting paid for this, and I'm not going to be for a while. And obviously I need to get the work in, but I don't live in London. And oh my God, this is such a drain on my savings, because it was going into my savings and I was like, oh. So I gave it a bit of a break just because I needed to. I was like, I'm actually getting really upset because my money's just going. So I've saved up a bit more money. I've spent a few more months saving up a bit more money, writing new ideas. I do that a lot on my phone. My phone is full of random, and I will literally be like, large coffee. Was that my order? Was that an idea? The whole idea that like my notes app is not something you need to look at. Like I know what it means. I can't show it to anyone else because it will make no sense. Similarly, like I cannot tell you what I've Googled lately because it does not make sense. And either it makes me like a serial killer or makes me like the dumbest person in the world of like, how do you cook an egg? Just want to double check something. It's like, okay, no, cook like not exactly that, but that level of like, I'm right in this, aren't I? Just double check. Okay, I am right. Good. A lot of mine are synonyms for or antonyms for, and I do that a lot because I'll be like, oh God, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. This is so tiring. But what do I want to write instead of tiring? I've got to put something instead of tiring. Oh, it's arduous. Oh God, this is so arduous. And I'm like, oh God.
Oh, like.
How to sound pretentious 101. The
shame but realization every now and then of like, when doing poems, like I don't write many rhyming poems, I don't have to, but every now and then the thing of like, I can feel there's a rhyme here and I can't think of what it is. Opens up Rhyme Zone, have to check in that, and it's like, I don't like that I'm doing this. But it's like, oh yeah, I did forget that word existed, thank you. And no, this is helpful to, I feel that. I feel that.
So hopefully I'm going to get back into comedy. Like I didn't leave it. I was still working. I just wasn't performing.
Yeah.
So I was still working on it in my head. And I've been speaking to obviously the people who I did the short film with, and hopefully more things are going to come out of that just because that team were just so wonderful. I don't know whether that's actually going to happen or whether that's just my wishful thinking, but like we all got on so well. It was ridiculous. I'm taking more classes. So like I've got a workshop today after this. I did a workshop last week as well. Just keep going. I've got a gig tonight. So yeah, it's just...
Present is just working and getting back into it.
Oh yeah, it's just keep going.
Well, you already kind of touched on the future side of things, on taking over the world and doing every single thing possible. But if there is a more concentrated answer, what is your future in this performing world for you?
I honestly have no idea. I want my career to be so random that people would be like, oh my God, she voiced that video game character. Oh my God, she is the voice of this like hedgehog in this film. She was that body for that VR thing. Oh my God, and she's in this drama. She's in this BBC police drama where she's shooting someone's head off. Like, I just want to be so random that people are like, I'm kind of popping up everywhere. Like, I mean, not like Andy Serkis, but a bit like Andy Serkis. Yeah.
One weird tangent on this, but because not weird tangent, because I'm playing at the moment. I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3, which is the new D&D inspired video game, and J.K. Simmons voices one of the characters on that.
Yes.
And I love seeing J.K. Simmons' career path because he is clearly Oscar winner caliber person there. Also, here's a D&D game I'm going to voice one of the bad guys for, and then also here is the Avatar spin-off I'm going to voice one of the main characters for 4 seasons, and it's like, why is J.K. Simmons voicing a cartoon character for 4 seasons? Like, that feels like a very weird job for him, but okay. And like, you see his whole career path, like, you've done a lot of things, and you'll go from Whiplash to the Batman films, and then to... I like that randomness for a career path, and that feels like a vibe to do.
It's kind of like, obviously, I research and I watch a lot of interviews with actors because I want to get kind of like, how professional can you be? How, fun can you be? Like, I feel like British actors specifically have a better range on, you can just chill out and just be you and people will love it, which I love. And I'm obviously watching all these interviews and stuff, and I'm like, obviously you get the fun interviews, which are like Graham Norton.
Yeah.
And I kind of want it to be a case of me turning up on like a program or something, an interview program, and someone being like, apparently you ride horses. And I'm like, yeah. Or like, oh, you can fight with size. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you do opera? I'm like, yeah. I want to be that person.
Almost the idea of like, what is your USP kind of thing compared to all the other actors and people. It's like, no, I've actually got a lot of USPs and I do a lot of things. I'm actually very talented and just like...
It's so difficult though, because obviously when you're in drama school, okay, they tear you down to build you back up. They don't build you back up. They don't do it. They'll leave you as this like not really a personality of a person. You don't know who you are. And they throw you out into the world and you're like, oh my God, I don't know who I am. You will get a job. You get a job and you're like, this is who I am. Like you just, you know where you are in the pack.
Yeah.
You know, you get a sense of like, right, what is professional? What can we do? How can we have fun? How can we do this, that, and the other? And it's great. And then you, in your life, like when you're doing more acting classes or during COVID, I was doing so many screen acting classes where that's where all my savings went. And it says, like we were told so many times, you need more skills. All the skills are good. Get all the skills. I got all the skills. Not every single one of them. I'm not like let's drive like a monster truck. Yeah. I probably could, but I haven't tried that yet. But yeah, it's like they don't. So I took all of this into account. I was like, I need more skills because obviously, if it's between two people and they're like, you're both great actors, you look exactly the same, but one of you has skills and one of you doesn't.
Yeah.
So I thought, just in case that is the case, and obviously you go by your look. So I'm like, I've got big eyes, I've got high cheekbones, I've got massive ears. I was like, right, I'm an elf. What do you need in fantasy? You need to be able to fight with a sword or a bow and arrow, and you need a horse. So I did all the things. I was like, here you go. I've not been seen for a fantasy once. And obviously I'm like, I hate the fact that I've not been in it because I'm like, you don't need prosthetics. Like, look, I can save you money on plastic. But yeah, they just, so I love learning all the things. Like I'm lucky that I can use that as an excuse to learn more things. I like just having random skills, but it does get to a point where you're like, is this actually helping me?
Whilst not to the same level, even with the stuff I'm doing here, like with all the setup I had for the podcast and the photography stuff, is the thing of like, I'm doing it because it's still that level, it's still fun enough for me that I don't mind putting the money into it.
Yeah.
But it gets to that ceiling where at what level is like, this is too much money now where I have to either make a profit out of this or it's not fun anymore. And it's like, we're getting to that kind of level where it's
time.
Like, yeah, it's like, this is still fun.
Yeah.
I clearly still hanging out with friends doing it in that way. So I'm doing content, but also hanging out with friends, which is nice. But the level of like, when it becomes, this is a job and it's not fun and I'm not getting the views and whatever, and that's an actual work. It's like, yeah, no, this is a cool skill to have, but this skill is not going to help or anything I feel that.
It does. It just punches you in the stomach because obviously you're like, if I have all the things, they'll be like, oh, I'll audition her because she can do all the things. And then it's like, oh, well, no, because actually we're going to hire someone who has done one more thing than you. And then we're going to train them on the job. And you're like, but I know all the things.
I mean, it's also the best and worst thing about it will be the thing like, for all this time you're preparing for all these things, there'll be that one time when it's like, I'm going to phone it in for this one just because, well, this is the last one on my list and I'll just complete the set kind of thing, if you will. And I'm like, you're perfect for this role. It's like, this is the one I trained the least for.
Oh my God, you won't even believe it. So I got seen for a program that I'm very excited to watch. I think the person who they picked will be fantastic. Yeah. It's like a couple of lines, but obviously this person has got like grit and I loved it. And I just can't wait to see it because I bet they cast the perfect person. And this person holds a gun and uses a gun. And I was like, because I was told, like, out of all the genres, you look very So I don't think anyone's going to want to put a gun in your hands because you look like a little girl. I was like, oh, okay, that's no gun for me. Yeah. So I didn't do gun training. And then I got a self-tape. It's like, oh, can you film in the next 24 hours you holding a gun? I was like, no. So I did the self-tape. I tried my best. But it was one of those really awkward ones where you're just kind of holding, like, I think it was like a bookmark.
Yeah.
I was holding like a bookmark, like just off screen. So it looked like I was kind of vaguely holding a gun and I really wasn't. And I was like, oh, I'm not even like, it's not convincing.
Yeah.
Like, no wonder I didn't get it. So I will be doing that at some point. It's very expensive. Gun training is very, very expensive. But I will be doing it at some point.
So the future, to wrap it up, is gun training is the future.
Put a gun in my hands. Just everything. Oh God, you never know. That's the thing. You never know. Like, you can do screen training to your heart's desire, and then all of a sudden you're doing musicals.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you can be in musical theatre and all of a sudden you're in Hollyoaks, or you do one advert once and someone's like, I frigging love your voice. Can you voice over this character, this cartoon character? Like, you just never know.
Like, I want to frame it as a good thing, but it's good and bad, that thing of like this whole creative industry level of the right person, the right time, and that thing of like, it's like there's some level of it's nice in some ways that it can happen randomly, but it's also like, then what? How am I meant to prepare and train, and what am I meant to do now?
You will never be prepared. You won't. You just won't. When it happens, you'll be like, oh. I mean, God, I was so lucky with my first ever like web series, so my first ever shooting in front of a camera ever, and I was stupid lucky because it was someone who I met in one of my classes. Like, I think we did a couple of classes together, and he was like, she's funny, and he happened to have written it, and then offered me the job on like the Wednesday. I got the script on the Thursday, I think, and we were shooting on Saturday. And I told everyone, I was like, this is my first job. And they were like, are you serious? You're so professional. I was like, no, like, this is the first, this isn't professional, this is scared. I'm really terrified of the cameras in my face. I don't know what I'm doing. But again, you're right. It's the right time, the right people. And even now I'm like clawing at being seen for anything. And it just happens that, you know, fingers crossed, one person sees me one time and goes, oh, okay, I put you in this thing. Oh, they like working with you. I'll put you in this thing. Like, and bless them, my agents are clawing their way. They are like, oh, what's it called? That's just clawing, isn't it?
Come on, you can do idioms.
I can't anymore. I was going to say haggling, but they're not haggling. They're not negotiating. That's weird. No, I can't think of it. The word will come to me in like later, but they're trying so hard to get me seen for anything. There.
Well, that is a good way to wrap up the future section, and we'll now go into our fun little Let's Talk About section. But yes, we're going into another section called Let's Talk About, where we're going to talk about all the fun of performing.
Woo.
I mean, obviously we'll probably go on tangents because that's how conversations work.
That's how my brain works. It's not linear.
Yes, performing. So clearly, as you were saying beforehand, you basically saw performing like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Now as someone who does that, what are your general feelings on performing? How do you feel when you are performing?
Okay. The industry, the job, and performing are very different things.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you have to like it or lump it. Like, you have to take all of it, all the bagage, or you quit. And that's just how it happens. And you watch other people doing it and you're like, oh, God, I miss it. So performing is... It's so hard to explain because obviously, like, when you're having a conversation with someone, let's say like someone's crying and you want to cry with them, or you want to support them, or you want to help them, or you're like, oh, you're doing this for attention. Okay, now I'm going to feel this or feel that. Like, people can say things, or even just facial expressions, or like the music they play in the background, or someone can walk across the stage and mean a million things, or someone can like look at the camera and do like a little eye twitch and it means 1,000 words. Like, to make someone feel something is a skill all in itself. And you can do that with anything. Like performing, I mean, making someone laugh is obviously the best feeling in the world. But to make someone cry is like, if you can do both,
the amount of times that I've been doing a poetry gig and someone said I've made them cry, and my reaction is fucking yes.
Yes.
It's like, I am glad I've made you feel the things. Take that. I am good with words.
Exactly. And it's like, you know, humans are so complex. They are so evolved, and humans are interesting and weird, and there are so many things about them. And in COVID, obviously everyone was like, oh God, well, who needs the arts? No one needs the arts. It's like, you're sat at home watching Netflix 24/7. Who's on the Netflix? Creative people. Even if it's not like, you know, a drama or a comedy or, you know, anything like that. It's a documentary. Guess who made the documentary? Creatives. Like, a director had to have done that. What's a director? A creative. Like, are you... And like... this is my thing about politicians. When politicians are like, well, I'm not going to give money for any of the arts, I'm going to take money away. I'm like, okay, any newspaper you get from now on, anything that's not news will get sharpied out. Mm-hmm. Any radio that is not news, you do not get to listen to. You do not get Spotify unless it's news. You do not get any radio stations unless it's news. You do not get to watch anything on the TV unless it is news.
And even then, the presenters you're getting, they're going to be very... news style, just going to take as straight down the line as they can do.
Exactly.
Because, like, the skill of hosting, even that alone in performing kind of thing, is such a powerful skill. Again, it's a weird way to phrase, but, like, the ability to be almost that level of neutral, but also still enjoyable is fucking hard to do.
Yeah, it is. But, like, and the thing is, they'll be like, it's not important. It's like, what are you surrounded with 24/7? And in fact... guess who makes the clothes that you wear? A creative person who designs the clothes. So you're going to wear a bin bag. Like, I think they need to literally, if anyone makes that comment, be stripped of anything that makes you feel like a person and then tell me it's not important. Like, to make someone feel something. And obviously people do that in everyday lives. But to do that as someone else, that's a whole nother thing. And like... honestly, it's the best feeling in the world to like make someone either on your side love you or hate you, because obviously villains are like super interesting, and you tell them a story. You know, art is escapism, and everyone needs to escape. Like the world back in the days, it was just telling stories and reading books and doing like shadow puppets on the walls and drawing, and that is escapism. Someone can look at some art and like just escape from that world, from like a woman in a field. And I feel like especially nowadays, we need escapism. We need that to happen because obviously we're still a bit like, COVID happened and people have gone through horrible, horrible times. And to forget about that for just a short period of time and to like have something to talk about, like it's a conversation starter. It can literally be part of your personality. I mean, God, I've seen Schitt's Creek 3 times. Okay, I can quote it. And Back to the Future is my favourite film. And, you know, it's so interesting to have those conversations with people and be like, you've not seen Back to the Future. Oh my gosh, you need to see it. It's this, that, and this. Oh my gosh. Like, it can make you socialise. It can connect you with certain people. It can, you know... I don't think there's any bigger power in the world to make someone feel something. And that's what people forget that obviously politicians do. They say something and make you either go, oh, well, you're an ass, or I agree. So it's everyone's performing when it gets to, you know, that kind of hierarchy. And it feels like a superpower and it makes you feel a bit more you. I've never felt, you know, at home behind an office desk. I feel really out of place. I feel not like myself. And it's the same when I was working in a bar. I felt like I was performing as a bartender. It was really weird. Same as working in a cafe. Children's party entertainer. I wanted to shoot myself in the face because that was horrible. And but when I'm weirdly enough, when I'm in front of a camera or in a rehearsal room or on stage or on set or something, I'm at home and I feel more like myself because I'm surrounded by people who have the same mindset.
I'm going to choose to not go into the idea that you feel more like yourself when you're not being yourself. That's a... Oh,
yeah. Not like that. Obviously, in between takes. I just mean when you're surrounded by creative people and you're all working for the same goal of making people feel a certain thing. Like you're all cogs in a machine. When you're, in a rehearsal room, you're all trying to make the show better. You put the show on, you're all trying to make the audience feel a certain way. And then, you're all on set and your entire goal is to make this project as best as it can be for people to feel something. People do not go to the cinema to be bored. That is not how that happens. If the film happens to be awful, then whoops.
Well, the intention is not to be bored, but again, it can happen with any creative thing. And this is also, I think, the thing with creative things in general, like, when people say, like, oh, that was a bit shit or whatever, it's like, yes, cool. Making something doesn't always work how you want it to go. It doesn't always land how people want it to go. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't do creative things. It just, cool, that one didn't work. That one you didn't like.
Yeah.
Fair. It happens. Like, it's hard to make a fucking creative thing and make it come out how you want it to come out.
And not everyone will agree. Like, you will never... I mean, I have so many actors who I frigging adore and love, and there will always be someone like, meh, and I'm like, excuse me, because not everyone's going to agree. And again, that's like a thin line to walk of, I'm doing the thing that I can do to make this the best it can be. And then if someone said, well, that film was shocking because of you, of course it's going to feel like an arrow to the heart. However, you do have to go, well, I got the part, it was me and how I did it. And
well, like my quick, not tangent, but picking on that then, like, as a performer yourself, like, do you ever get those times and moments when, I think there's a common, phrase and going on to sticking onto one idea, Tyrone, I think there's a thing with performers in general where there was that performer that the general public like versus the performer that the performers like. And it not always the same person. So how is that for you? And like, are there any people that fall into that category of like, you see all the skills they're doing and like you love them there, but it's not translating to anyone? Like, does that happen much for you? And if it does, how do you feel about that?
Not necessarily with British performers. I feel like a lot of the time we are just kind of ourselves. Obviously, the different aspects of performing, they kind of attract different personalities. So, and I will say this, obviously musical theatre people are very different than screen actors, who are very, very different to stunt performers, who are very, very different to opera singers, who are very, like, they are different. Not in a bad way, it's just how they are. And I think you can kind of, because I mean, we've all done that where you've finished a show and you're like, oh, it wasn't my best show. Or like someone, I mean, I was a singer on cruise ships for 2 years and I had someone literally play a PlayStation on like the front row. And I was like, I am crying and singing my heart out and you're playing a PlayStation. But there's nothing you can do about it. And I was just really bummed. I was so bummed. I was not having a good day. And a lot of the show, I was like smiling and I had to be like either smiling or like pretty worried or like, you know, worried, but you have to look like nice with it. You're not allowed to be like, and you exit the theatre and you have to be like, right, suck it up, put a smile on. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for coming. Oh, I hope you enjoyed it. And you, weirdly enough, you do feel fake because obviously that's not how you feel. You're not being genuine, because if I was being genuine, I'd be like, I'm going to go and have a hot bath because that was awful. Not that we got baths on ships, we didn't. But, you know, you can't do that. You have to kind of allow, obviously, annoyingly enough, and every creative and mostly actors will say this, that the performing comes first. The job comes first. So if someone says, suck it up, do your job, you'll be like, thank you so much. Like, you do have to just deal with it, annoyingly enough. You have to kind of push the feelings down, and until you move and leave and, you know, can be by yourself, you can be like, right, let's call my mum and have a bit of a cry.
I guess almost on the inverse of that, then, like, on those off days, if you will, how do you feel when like someone says to them that was their favourite performance? If you're like how much they rate your performance on your off days?
I don't know if people would agree with me on this. When someone says that to me, I get very fulfilled very satisfied, and it, because so many people, especially in this industry, will tell you on your bad days, you're very good. And that's a good thing. Like when you think you've had the worst day in the history of the world, someone else will tell you you're amazing. And that feeling is obviously the best thing ever, because you're just like, oh God, I was awful. And someone's like, no, you're actually great. And you're like, really? Oh, that's so nice. Thank you so much. So I think that's amazing. Whereas I do know other people will kind of take that as a, you're lying. No, I'm crap. That was crap. And it makes you feel so like, oh, because also like people don't just say that. They don't. And if they do, don't, because you're lying. But people aren't going to like, because the thing is, especially when it's not creative people, I mean, creative people are not going to lie to you anyway, because that's pointless.
Yeah.
But like audience members specifically, if they come and like find you, like go around the theatre and find you and they go, that was amazing, they've gone out of their way to make you know that they appreciate what you did. And that in itself is like, whew.
Yeah, I guess as well on that, it's that level of, for you, it's your 100th time doing it, and for you that was the worst out of your 100. For them, that was the one time they've seen you and they loved it. So
yeah, they've got nothing to compare it to, and they're just so enamored. And you know, as you said, like, and this is the same with a lot of creative people. Your worst days, you're not going to be that bad. You're not going to have felt it, have that feeling of like being like, yeah, but you're a performer. You'll put on a face, you will breathe in the same way as you normally breathe, you're going to do the same thing, and someone else will feel like you're still going to make someone feel something. It just won't be, I'm not connecting with you in that way because I'm just having a really bad day, but you're not going to know because I'm a performer. You just do your job.
Well, as the performer and going into your many, many strings to your bow. That is the phrase, strings to your bow. That is right.
You actually thought of a phrase, whereas I couldn't get a word earlier.
I keep going through it. It's more so like I keep doubting myself. Like, that is the right phrase here. Yes. That thing of like you keep saying the same phrase and like, I've been saying it wrong this whole fucking time. But,
imagine if I let you carry on.
Gosh. But like with all the strings you have, then like, if possible, like what are the things, like is there a type of performing you like best? Like is it like, oh, you like singing best, or you like doing comedy best? Like do you have a thing that like, this is the one that I enjoy most?
No, I love all of it. Oh God, because when there's positives and negatives about both, obviously. Yeah. Like if you are doing if you're on stage, there are no redos. You mess up, and you kind of go, let's look at my other actors and who's going to pick up the line. You're going to pick up the line and then I will respond. Like, which, when you know, and you'll be like looking out and you'll be like, oh, she dropped a line. Like, and yeah, you know, it doesn't happen often, but when it does, you know, you feel like you're the worst person alive. But on the days where you and the audience and everyone's connecting and everyone feels the same thing, and you're like, oh yeah, that was brilliant. And then you've got being on set where if you mess up, you can redo it. And it's fine because they expect that. No one's going to expect anything on the first take, apart from Michelle Pfeiffer and her like whipping in Batman. Yeah. But no one expects it, and everyone just expects you to just say your line and do your job, and if it's wrong, that's okay. Reset. Like that, everything on a set is made to be moved, to be put back. That is the point.
And obviously there'll be time limits, but at the same time, there's a lot more flexibility on the set to mess around and play around. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
But it's the same with theatre, with the time limit thing, because you know you should. I mean, some shows don't, but you should start at a certain time. You should have an interval at a certain time, and you should leave the theatre at a certain time because people have got to get home. Yeah. So, you know, if your character breaks down and cries and you have to start singing at some point, you can't just egg it and be like, for ages, because you're there watching the poor conductor going, are you going to stop singing now? Like, so there are positives and negatives about both. When it comes to theatre, you feel the journey because you're doing the journey. Every night you do the journey. You're like, okay, start, middle, end. This is how it goes. This is how I'm feeling, blah, 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 right? You can feel it and you can go through it. In acting, it's a completely different, screen acting. It's a completely different skill. You do have to kind of go, right, action, right, go. Like they say action, you're on it. And it's as I said, like different skill. You can't go through the journey. There are certain things you can do, like if your character's worried and you're like, right, she's hyperventilating, have a bit of a jog before they say action, and then you're like, oh my god, my brother. And it works that way. They're just very different, but I love them all and I want to do them all. So give me work. Give me jobs.
Like, I guess within that, then, like, obviously, like, you mentioned beforehand, like, how pleasing it is to get some people to laugh or cry. It's that just, like, when it is getting a script or a role in any of these communities, is there any kind of scene you're looking for? Do you look for that, oh, I get my big speech, or, oh, I get my funny line? Like, what is the part or thing you look out for most? Or is it just level of, I like doing anything, so anything at all will be good?
You can... I mean, it's the old saying of there are no small roles, there are only small actors. And it's so true. Like, it's so true. Like, every show needs the supporting characters, needs the ensemble. Every, film needs the extras. You need the person with the 2 lines, and the 2 lines could be the plot twist or something like that. Or like you're the detective who walks in and goes, tell me the truth. And then, the lead villain goes on a massive tangent and then you go, oh, and you walk away. You've had that 1 line. But it's there for a reason. Like, a writer wrote that character in for a reason. They're not going to waste lines. They're not going to waste time. They're not going to waste money on you. They're not going to waste money. They're not going to write in a character for no bloody reason to waste money and time. Who would do that? There's no point. So
that feels like a very Drag Race thing as well, of like, there's actually no small parts, and that small part you had in that Drag Race thing, actually, that means you can win the challenge this week kind of vibe.
It's so true, though. It's literally so true. And, every person has their own personality. And as an actor, obviously, and a singer and a dancer and whatever, you have to bring the personality forward of the particular dance, song you're doing a dance to, or song that you're singing, or speech that you're saying, or something like that. So there's nothing I look out for, because especially I normally will read a script once and go, aha. And I get an idea, and then I'll read it through again and be like, oh, different idea. And then I'll read through again, ooh. And I get very excited about that, because, and then the director comes in, changes it all, and you're like, oh my God, I love it. Like, and it's, you just no, because if you do, and like, you do have those annoying people that will count their lines. You do. Yeah. You do. Don't do that.
Count their lines, check their screen time of like, do I have enough time to do, like, and like, how much is my face going to be actually on the screen here, or am I going to be in the background? I'll have to share this. Okay.
Yeah. And you have to just kind of be like, right, like, get over yourself. You've got your job. And bearing in mind, every job ever, you will have to go against a lot of people who want it the same amount as you, who are begging for it, who are poorer than you, richer than you, know someone in the producing team, don't know someone in the producing team. Like, you're going to be up against so many people for no matter what you're up for. So if you've got something, be grateful for it and do your best. Because if you start searching for, oh, do I get the little glimmer, or do I get to wink, or do I get to like walk off dramatically? Like, it's just going to drive you insane.
Well, like, I think, like, going on to my next question, I feel like you kind of already answered it a little bit, but I'm still going to ask anyway. Obviously, you've done stuff like on cruise ships, you've been doing cabaret stuff, you've been doing stuff on stages, small, large, etc., all of that. I will ask the question, but I feel like I know the answer of, like, are there any stages or places like, I like performing here the best kind of thing? Is it a level of like, oh, when I get on a big stage, this feels not that the others aren't good, obviously, but level of like, oh, this clicks differently? Or is it, again, does it just depend on the show, the day, etc., blah, blah, blah?
Yeah, it will depend on the show, the day, the part, even the song. Like, there will be, because everyone asked me this on all of my cruise ship shows, because I'd talk to the guests a lot, and they'd be like, what is your favourite song to sing? And I'd be like, it depends on the day. It really does. If I'm having a bad day and I need to just feel it, then Writing's on the Wall. Because that, like, I'll sing that song and all the emotion will just flow through me and I can feel it and it'll be like, oh yeah. Whereas, if I'm feeling really chirpy and happy, Symphony. Or if that day I really want people to emote with me, Somewhere Only We Know. Or Proud, because that is, it's just such a wonderful song. And like, it really depends how you're feeling. If even tiny things like putting a costume on, and if you've taken a couple more seconds to put the costume on because your heel got caught in the skirt, that's going to annoy you. And then you're going to be like, right, now I have to like drop that and do the next song. But that song that you wanted, that you could have been really excited for, you're like, oh, now I'm not excited for it. But that's okay, because let's just, and then you'll get to a certain verse and you're like, let's rip it, let's do it. And then you're like, oh, now that felt good. It could even literally be a verse or a line or a chorus or a particular step sequence that you do in like an ABBA medley that just makes you go, ooh. So yeah, it really depends. That's not helpful, is it?
I mean, this podcast is not meant to be helpful. That's not what this podcast is for. This podcast is not. Here's how you learn to perform. This is just talking about.
Here's how you do Caitlin's exact career on this exact ship on this exact day of this country. Go back in time. Yeah.
No, I will latch on to the helpful side of things. Obviously, you've been doing all of the skills. I guess with picking up your skills, but do you feel that each skill helps another skill, or like things of like, now that you've learned this, I'm better at this kind of thing? Do the skills kind of lead into each other, or are some of them so separate that they don't affect other things?
So direction, you will learn to, I learned to take direction super quickly because my ballet teacher, as lovely as she was, could be a bit strict. And so taking direction, I think I learned from her. And then and like my drama teacher when I was super young as well. So then when you get older, what you don't realize is that being able to take direction when you are younger, it does lead into everything else. Because like my horse riding teacher will say, make sure your knees aren't turned out on the horse. And I will take that direction. So I would say the most transferable skill is taking direction and listening to your instructors and just trusting them. Trusting that your director knows what they're doing. Trusting that your co-workers know what they're doing. Trusting that, this and that and the other is going to happen and it's all going to turn out dandy. I would say ballet, interestingly enough, has been good in some ways, bad in others, because ballet was my main thing when I was a child, and it helped me in certain ways because like my posture is really good for archery and for horse riding, but in ballet you have to tuck your bum under, but you're not really supposed to on a horse. You're supposed to be like relaxed, not like on your sit bones, where like in contemporary a lot of the time you sit on your sit bones and everything's like very, and like, you have to relax your arms, not like hold them out like a ballet bar. And that was, I think, the hardest thing I've done. And then like even in stage combat as well, like my teachers will literally walk past me and be like, all right, dancer, having a bit of a dance, because I will step everything as like it's a ballet move, and they'll be like, you're a human having a fight.
Almost a little bit too fluid, and it's like, this isn't, yeah.
Yeah, be a bit more like grounded, that you're a person.
Yeah, and like,
getting attacked.
Yeah, like yes, there will be still steps to do, and part of the steps are to keep you safe, but at a level you need to make it safe, but still looking.
Yeah. But choreography wise, I learned choreography really, really quickly because I've been doing ballet since I was tiny. So there are certain skills that really work. There are certain skills that don't. But I think the main thing is being able to just listen and absorb, and like taking direction in that kind of way will help everything.
Well, lastly, in this Let's Talk About section then, obviously we talked so much about the performing side of things, but obviously as you've been doing a lot of comedy stuff, you've been writing your own comedy stuff there. With the acting and all that stuff as well, and even with singing, how much have you gone into writing your own stuff for that, whether it's for other people to perform or for potentially you to perform? So,
all of my comedy for my stand-up comedy is true things that have genuinely happened to me. So if I were to write it for like a sitcom or like a comedy show or something like that, I would be the person because it happened to me. And if someone was like, oh, we're going to cast Jennifer Aniston, I was be like, Jennifer, I'm not being funny, but this was literally my life. Go away. I mean, stay and play my mum, but like, no, like I just couldn't do it. But obviously, when it comes to so like I'm writing a musical at the moment, and I think the problem with it is that I do, to get like the most out of like anything I watch or anything I listen to or something, I try and imagine me in it. Like if I was in this, what would my part be and how would I play it? And if I sang this, how would I sing it? And if I was doing this, like, I think that, because that kind of stretches all the skills in all the different ways. And it keeps your brain ticking over the things you're not necessarily doing at that point. Because obviously I can't do lessons and shows and plays and musicals and operas and everything all at once. It's never going to happen. But if I can start thinking about things like if I'm doing a musical and I'm like, oh, if I was in Robin Hood, I would have actually held the bow here. I would have done that. Like, it keeps your brain kind of going over everything. So when I'm writing something, like me and my friend are writing a musical at the moment, I literally have put myself as the lead because, I mean, first of all, I need the work. So, yeah. But also, like, I can't, as soon as I start thinking about other people, I think about other people when it comes to things that I, like, if clearly I'm not the character, like if the character's like 60, I'm like, let's think about all the other women who could play this. Yeah. I'm clearly not going to put myself in there. But only, you know, when it comes to writing stuff, I do mostly do it for myself because, do you know what? I think it's because I spent so much time acting, thinking about other people, and I still do, about how I make you feel.
Would you ever be tempted to try and write stuff without you as the main character kind of thing, or was it?
Yeah, but I think I'd need to write with someone in mind. I'd need to meet a person. I'd need to get on with them, because like, I think it would actually break my heart to like write something, have someone do the thing, and then them turn out to be an asshat. I'd be like, no, I gave you a job, I gave you money, I gave you opportunity that I could have given to someone else who actually deserves it. Like that would crush me.
Fair.
So yeah, I think I would need to meet them. I would need to, and if I were to write with anyone else, I would need to have them have an input. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't imagine, and I think this is where, you know, specifically writers are amazing, because obviously as an actor you say the line someone else has given you, but as a writer you have to come up with all that yourself. You have to, not only the lines but the character, and like you can say the line how so in every way under the sun, and like that context has to be in there for an actor to then go, aha, I take this. Like, I think they're amazing. So yeah, I would need to meet the person, get their say. I'd be like, okay, I want you to say a line like this. How would it actually come out of your mouth? Because again, that's another thing where actors are made to say certain lines in a certain way, and you're like, that's not how people speak. So yeah, it's interesting.
Weird that whole idea, like that's not how people speak, or like just because you've envisioned it like that, now when it comes out of someone else's mouth, it's like that worked in my head. Yes, doesn't work when it comes out of yours, and like everything else, but the character does work. And now that line doesn't. Okay. Yeah, let's swap that. Even if it's just something like adding an as or a but, or changing the line around, all of a sudden it makes more sense. Like, just with that person in that feeling in that moment, like that's how I would be. And as a writer, I would need to be there. I'd need to be involved, because I'd want the actors to have a say, or the comedian or whoever to have a say. And that's not how things happen. Like, in the grand scheme of producing or directing or whatever, if I'm a writer and I give someone my work, they would take it and do whatever they want with it. They'd cast whoever they want. They'd direct it however they want. And I'd be like, there's so few shows, productions that will have the writer on for the whole thing of it, and like, I think it's so necessary though, most of the time. And obviously there's the financial side of things, all that kind of stuff, but if you can get that to work, even if it's not like they're here every single day of rehearsals, because maybe they don't need them for every single day of rehearsals and things, but having them for some part of it definitely seems good to do. Yeah, but that's why I really like Fleabag, because obviously Phoebe Waller-Bridge wrote it and starred in it, and it was her vision, and she obviously, they had the amazing director, but like, it was just kind of like, how lucky to do that. And it's the same as like Lin-Manuel Miranda, like, you're in a show with who like wrote Hamilton being Hamilton. Obviously there's a stress of
I really can't mess up now. But yeah.
Well, I guess the challenge there, and as we're kind of wrapping up this section, the challenge is obviously the whole thing of like killing your darlings and that thing of like, cool, I love this so much and this is integral to me, and then you do sometimes need that person to go, it's not going to work. That's not what people want sometimes or whatever. Like, oh, this is, go for this time. Like, in that level, how do you feel with, like, obviously, I feel like you were, as mentioned, decent at taking directions, etc. How were you with some of those ones where it's like, but that feels like it's wrong?
Sometimes it takes a minute, and it can be, it's kind of, weirdly enough, taking a direction that doesn't feel right, just for people who, like, you know, haven't been in that situation. It feels a bit like you are a right-handed person writing something down with the pen in your right hand and someone says, no, do it left-handed. It's that kind of, but once, and you kind of have to like take a breath and then think it through and figure it out. Like if your character walks to the left side of the stage and the director has literally said, I mean, please don't do this as a director, but like, I want you to walk to the left of the stage, like stage left, just walk over there.
Yeah.
Obviously, as an actor, you would want to go, why? For why? Why am I doing this? But obviously, they don't have time to explain everything to you, so you have to work it out for yourself. If I'm walking over here, am I trying to create distance because I'm having an argument with this person? Am I walking over here because I love this person and I'm scared of that connection? Am I walking over here because I need to think things through? I need to be by myself. I don't want to be near them. Am I walking over here because there's a massive piece of set that's about to come out my ass and go to stage right? Like, you have to, weirdly enough, make it work.
There's that whole balance between, I make it with people also understanding with the director, they're like, they are juggling how many different things, and whilst this is a big thing for me, this actually is a small thing in the whole piece, but that small thing makes everything else fall into place. If I do this, that opens up for all of you to do that, and it's like, okay, so whilst it doesn't make the most sense for me, I can now see how this falls in line with everyone else. Okay, fine, I can take the hit on myself, if you will, to make that go, and like,
I can never, I think the 3 jobs that, I mean, every job blows my mind because I don't have those skills. Like, I'm not a lighting person, not a sound person. Like, I really respect them for what they do. But I think the 3 jobs that genuinely blow my mind is director and stage manager and then the sound designer, because for this particular moment, you need the drums to be louder. Like, okay, so for this particular moment, just for this one moment in the show, I need to have a microphone put on the drums, or I need this, or I need that. Like, what? I just walk around and say my lines. Like, I just sing my songs. I don't know. Like, oh God. And like, obviously every person is a cog in a machine and you have to like work together. But, you know, a director and a stage manager and everything else, they have so many things to think about. And obviously as an actor, I'm just used to having all the things to think about, but like, that is what I do. So like my costume changes and blah, 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 blah. But they've got to think about everyone else, and there's a lot of pressure.
Right, so I feel like we've definitely covered a lot of the performing and performance side of things in all of that. So we're now going to move on to my slow fire questions section. Yes. Cool. For slow fire questions, I have a list of 100 questions I ask people, not often known as my quick fire questions, but for this little fun game, we're doing the slow fire questions because I think some of these questions could do with more time to be expanded on. Okay. Some of them, maybe not, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
This will pick 5 at random and go for them each at a time. So can you please give me a number between 1 and 100?
76.
Perfect. Then we're going to start off with, what do you prefer, Android or iPhone?
Android.
Why?
Battery life. Lasts longer. You don't have to give all your money to an iShit. Like, everything links with Apple, which means you get an Apple phone and then you need an Apple Watch and then you need an Apple iPad and you need a Mac and then you needed this and you needed that because it's all Apple. And they're taking over the world, and let's face it, they're not good. The camera's good, but just get a camera. No. I'm not an Apple person. I don't actually like, obviously when in the whole debate, it's so funny because I'm just like, yeah, I don't like Apple. But if you're an Apple user, they're like, they get very about it. They're like, wait a while.
I mean, I am that fun person that I have both. Oh, I know. I mean, to be fair, phone-wise, I've lived always on Android phone. That's always been a thing. Got the watch, got the Google Watch, Google phone, all that stuff. But we are literally recording this into a MacBook right now. I like editing stuff on a MacBook.
I saw the Apple icon.
Again, I guess that's more going into Apple versus PC, which is more MacBook versus PC, which is a whole other debate for a different day.
Different positives, different negatives. But
yes. Give me another number, please.
12.
12 is... What is your go-to karaoke song?
It depends the audience.
Fair.
It really depends the audience. So if it's an audience of normal people in a pub.
Well, okay, I'll give you scenarios. And so first, go to karaoke song. It is a friend's birthday. You guys have hired a private room, so there's 30 of you in that room together.
Oh, okay. It would something be like, to the window, to the wall, sweat drip down my balls. That one, probably.
Nice. And then, like you said, so like now different karaoke space where you've got your friends there, but this is open bar. There are other people that are not with your group with you. What is your karaoke song for that?
Disco Inferno.
Ooh.
Ooh. Yeah.
I guess also, and with the karaoke stuff, how do you feel about karaoke given that you are a singer?
Oh, okay. I get very about it because I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I've been comfortable in karaoke apart from when I was at my sister's hen do. So when I'm with my friends who don't perform, they beg me, they either beg me to perform or they ask other people to beg me to perform. I perform and then no one else wants to because they're like, well, we don't want to follow you now. And I'm like, I didn't want to ruin everyone's fun. You just asked me to do, like, do you want me to sound like rubbish? Yeah. I can. So I do tend to like, if I am performing with those in that kind of scenario, I do tend to like over egg everything just to, so like Disco Inferno would be like, burn, baby, burn. I try and like make fun of it so that everyone can just have a bit more fun. When it comes to performers, if it's people who are doing songs like to the window, to the wall, that's hilarious and fun. If it's people actually trying to sing like Take Me or Leave Me from Rent or all the Beyonce songs or Adele, I kind of just want to shoot myself in the face. And I'm like, you've literally brought us here to a place that not all the people here are performers, just so you can kind of rub your voice in their face. And I feel like that's a bit... So the only times I actually really enjoyed it was when I was on the cruise ships, because if there was a karaoke and they asked me to perform, I would perform and they would expect it. Yeah. But they would expect me to be good because they've seen me on stage. So then I could just be me and just have fun. This
is why my go-to vibe for any of the karaoke stuff is always... My vibe for karaoke is always look for the well-known rap song or song that has a rap verse in it. Because I don't like my singing voice. I don't think I've got this good singing voice. I will sing at home to myself all the fucking time. Yeah. Singing in front of other people is not my strongest suit. But I know my raps, I know my words. I'm good at memorizing words in that kind of a way. And there'll always be that level of like, oh shit, he knows all the words to insert rap here. And it's like, that's impressive. And it's like, cool, I can impress you about showing off any actual musical, not musical skill, but like, I can impress you about having to hold a note, basically. Yeah, it's kind of like you always sing something that people know. So like Disco Inferno or oh god, there are so many. But like I wanna dance with somebody. How will I know if? And then Mr. Brightside. Everyone will get up and start singing with you, and it's great. One day I will need to get you to karaoke where you can be my Estelle and I will be Kanye West and we'll do American Boy because I need that in my life at some point. Okay. But yes, another number between 1 and 100, please. 8. 8. Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram? Oh, I hate them all. I use Instagram the most. I mean, Twitter's now called X. Yeah. Because you used to be like, oh, I'm going to send a tweet. I saw your tweet. Like, what do you... I saw your X message. That sounds weird. I've seen someone say Zeets and it's like, no. I like the bird. I think... What did I say? I said we should start a new app that is Twitter
with the bird, but call it tweeter. Or Twitter 2. Twit twoo. Give me money now. Copyright, if anyone takes that, just saying.
But yeah, because you're not overall the biggest social media person, are you?
No, I'm rubbish.
Any reason why
so
you're just
bad.
not... Never got into that.
No, I just... no, I don't know. So when I write a post, bearing in mind, I'm not one of these people to take a photo and make sure the picture's a perfect picture. I'll take a photo and literally be like, oh yeah, that's brilliant. And as soon as I post it, it's the writing the message. I'm like, just spent the day drinking a coffee at Starbucks and feeling cute, #cute face. Like, I don't talk like that. Like, when you read someone's post, they don't talk like that. Like, people don't, when you're writing how you sound, you don't talk like that. So I read a post and I go, that's not, like, because you're writing it how people are going to read it, right?
Yeah.
You don't write like yourself. Because if I was going to write like myself, I'd be like, so, sat on a train. There were train strikes today.
I mean, to be fair, I
hated my life. Like...
I always find it so... I use social media a lot, and a large part of that I realise is because I do so much promoting on it. Like, a level of, like, in running an event, in running process, I have to, like, keep posting at a regular enough pace and that thing as well of, like, whilst we don't have a brand identity, there's some level of, like, I need to speak professionally enough in each of these posts that this comes off well, but also a level of, we know it's me running it, so I can have fun with it. So it's finding that voice of, like, what is that middle ground of a voice? How can I phrase it where it's still fun and light, but also still professional and not getting processed in trouble? But
the fact that you can't just write something like yourself, like...
if anything, I think actually on my personal one, I've gotten better at doing it because, like...
I'm so bad.
There was a vibe for a while when I was doing, like, tour stuff of, literally, I would literally post in the post level, like, here is me doing tour admin. Look, I posted about the tour. I'm doing this now. I've done that. And, like, being very... Is it self-aware or meta about it?
Yeah.
But I'm naturally a meta person anyway, but it was that level of, I'm just going to, like, we know why I'm posting this. I'm posting this because I need to post about the gig. Here's me posting about the gig. Look, cool, there. Ad done. And I would say that in the posted level, look, cool. We know the game we're playing here. Yeah. I'm playing this game here. This is all I got for you. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm just really bad. And then I put something up, and then if I put up a photo or something, I normally get loads of people who, not even people, men who I don't know. Not even people, men, Caitlin. Men. But like, just as a pull-out quote, not even people, not even men. People, men. Like, not all the people, men. But I can't even tell you the amount of, like, unsolicited messages I will get that is my picture back to me. Like, someone will screenshot my picture and send it to me and be like, I really like this picture. You look so good in this picture. And it's not even, look at my Instagram. There's nothing on there. There's there's one picture of me crying because that was in a self-tape. I had to cry for a self-tape. And I wrote something as if, what did I write? It was something like, when you realise there's no chocolate in the house. Because I do cry. One of my friends, like, I enjoy their Instagram. I think they've got his acting Instagram, and they've actively got one of the bad headshot pictures as their profile picture. And they think, like, here was the between take one where they just click the shutter by accident. It's like, no, I want that one as my headshot. It's like, cool, I like that vibe of, like, we're not being serious here. Don't do serious in this vibe. It's like, yes, cool, I'm here for that. But I know specifically that I personally couldn't have both. I couldn't have a professional one and a Caitlin one. So it's like, okay, so I have to combine the two. I can't write what I really think at that moment, because then that's not, like, if I said train strikes, oh God, morning ruined, because then people will be like, baby, okay. Like, and then people aren't going to want to necessarily work with me because they'll think I'm difficult. This is what Instagram stories are for. Instagram stories are my perfect place for that level. Here's in this moment in time, I dislike this, but in 24 hours we can move on from this and never come back to it. Yeah, I probably should do that more, but I'm just rubbish at social media. Well, let's go into, I think, 3 more questions. No, 3? No. I've done 3. Then 2 more questions today. I know how numbers work. I can count to 5. Yeah. Give me a number between 1 and 100 again, please. 40. 40. And that one is, do you have a diary? No. ever been a diary person?
I tried so many times when I was younger. I really did. But because, and this sounds so weird, but like, because obviously I'm not, how do I phrase this right? I don't really get,
say it.
I don't get embarrassed, right? I don't really get, like, feel shame, right? So I act a bit like an idiot a lot of the time. So every day I will have a story, every day. If I wrote a diary and then and let's say like I died and someone bought the diary from like a garage sale or something, and a car boot.
Who's selling your diary? No.
I don't know. My parents wouldn't. But if someone read it, they'd be like, she's making all this up. No, that's what my stand-up's for. The stories that, you know, I have in my head, the memories that I'm like, oh, other people would find this really funny, but this is just a normal thing for me. And no, I don't have the brain space all the time. And I know I should, but my creativeness in writing like lyrics or stand up or my idea for a sitcom or something like that is based on my life. It's based on real things.
Fair. Well, let's go into our last question then. One last number, please.
98.
Difference between friendships and relationships.
My lordy lord.
It's an easy one to end on. Easy one to end on.
Okay. Friendships. In my head, okay, I get very close with my friends. I try really, really hard to kind of like pick the right people and keep the right ones and blah, 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 blah. I will call everyone a friend and then I'm like, oh no, you're actually quite a horrible person. With a relationship, your true friends, I would want them to be there through thick and thin, as I am for you, right? Like, if we are friends, I'm there for you always, you are there for me. That is how this works. Relationships, people change, and obviously people should grow together, and if that relationship blossoms together, that is all well and dandy. However, if you have made a decision to part, then your friends should always be there. And like, obviously you're going to be sad about the relationship, and obviously relationships are, they will see you in a way that no one else does. They will, you'll be with them in a way that you're not with anyone else. And hopefully, if you're in the right relationship, you can show them all your ugly sides and all your best sides. I mean, me in my pre-audition, I would hope they would still be with me. But yeah, like friends would be like, friends are more blatant about it. Because I've been with friends when they've seen me get sheet music together and they're like, oh baby, you're being a mad cow. I'm going to leave you. Like I'm getting a coffee, bye. And they all piss off. But I've had like boyfriends try and calm me down. And I'm like, this is not the right move. Like,
well, I don't want to dwell too much into going to make this a whole relationship talk in that sense, but a level of like, with that then, can that almost make a distinction between the two in that sense, to the point of asking that question, can you be friends with the person you're in a relationship with then, in your way of doing that, describing it? Because you're almost describing them as separate, but what if you are friends with the person or even if you're from friends to a relationship?
Yeah, I think you can. I do think that you can. I would find it incredibly difficult, like if you are true friends, to have a relationship and then go back to just being friends. I think that would be very difficult. And I guess I definitely think you can be friends into a relationship. I do think that love can grow. If you are, I mean, both my sisters say that their husbands are their best friends. Mm-hmm. And I would love for that to be the case, but there will always be a thought in my mind of, well, my friends have been around since like year 9 or since I was the age of 3 or have been with me for just way longer than you have. Like, you know, but I do think they can. Absolutely. I've not had that yet. I've not found that yet. So I've been a bit unlucky in love before now. So yeah, we'll see.
want to say that's an optimistic way to end this, because we were saying before now, so we're in a good place now.
In a good place now. We'll see. I mean, hey, whatever happens will end up as fodder for something. If it ends up well, something silly will happen and I'll write a comedy sketch. Or if it ends up badly,
the true creative thing of like, I'm doing this for the story afterwards.
You have to make lemons out of lemonade. If something rubbish is happening, you have to go, well, at least I can, I can write it to a comedy song. I can get my ukulele out and beam, ba, ding, boo. I actually can play ukulele. That was not it. Ukulele is like...
Getting the ukulele out is why the relationship ended in the first place.
Kaylin.
Like whenever,
this has to end.
Kaylin,
I'm so sick
whenever
of
there was a bad moment, you turned to camera and brought out a ukulele every single time. It wasn't...
You kept just turning a camera on. I thought it was like kinky, and then you kept like singing into it, and I got really weirded out.
It's like, Kaylin, you kept breaking the fourth wall all the time. There was no fourth wall.
You kept speaking to your studio audience. I mean, are you all right? Like, imagine.
Well, on that note, thank you for being a part of this podcast. I know you are not the most on social media, but if you want to promote the social media-ness, your camera's there. You can tell people where to find you and all of that.
Yes. So, Caitlin Swanton. So, at Caitlin Swanton, CAITLIN on Instagram. That's probably the best way to follow me. I am also on Twitter, which is the same thing. So, at Caitlin Swanton. Yeah, if I post, it will be entertaining when I remember.
Cool. I have been Tyrone Lewis. This has been the Process Podcast. We'll always have the links to support us, follow us, do all the things we're doing. There'll be poetry nights, there'll be more videos, there'll be more podcasts and all of that. But otherwise, I'm committed to never having an actual sign off for this thing because I don't want to commit to anything, apparently. So I will just say goodbye.